Hello everybody, welcome to the Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan, as ever. I am the IT Geek. So welcome back to the AVD Zero to Hero series. And as ever present within this series is my good friend Simon Lee. Hi Simon.
Hi Spaz, how are we?
Not bad mate, how are you?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to today's session.
Excellent mate. So we obviously covered, we've covered a lot mate, if I'm honest with you. You're doing well.
Cheers.
We've covered a lot of theory around, what is AVD, the planning aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then we've started to put some little bits into practice. So last episode, which was episode 4, we covered provisioning the network, a VNet and a subnet. We then provisioned a storage account, and so making sure it was the performance tier, so we can enable us to configure the Azure Files, which is this episode that we're going to be doing today. And finally, we configured Azure AD domain services as well, if you remember. It took forever and a day, and the final part of that was made sure we configured that DNS element.
Yeah, DNS. So I can speak to. Yeah.
Excellent. So, what we're going to cover today, for those people that are joining us, thank you again for your ongoing support. What I'll quickly do is just share go through a couple of slides, and then we'll crack on with doing today's practical element. So again, as ever, there's myself and Simon. This is episode 5 of the AVD Zero to Hero series, and today we're going to be configuring Azure file shares for FSLogix. So a relatively small episode. We're not going to delve into it's not going to be a massively long episode. 2 aspects I really want to cover. I want to configure the Azure file share, the SMB share within the storage account that we created. We'll do a couple of configuration tasks on that, like domain join it. And then there are some permissions that we need to configure. So there are some groups within Azure AD, and we need to give the relevant accounts relevant permissions. So we need to give the domain admin, the global admin account, some permissions. We need to give the user accounts permissions as well. So without further ado, what I'll do is we'll jump straight into the Am IT Geek tenant and crack on.
Yeah.
So just before we carry on with the episode, just want to give a shout out to and say thank you to our sponsors for this video, PolicyPak. So just want to say a couple of quick words about PolicyPak, and then we'll crack on with the episode. So a massive thank you to our sponsor for this video series, PolicyPak. PolicyPak is a modern desktop management platform for the anywhere workforce. PolicyPak provides a powerful policy creation, management and deployment framework that extends the policy management, security, automation and reporting capabilities found within Windows Active Directory, Unified Endpoint Management Solutions, MDM providers, virtualization platforms and cloud services. PolicyPak comes with packs, each with its own set of customizable policies that enables IT and teams to solve today's most significant desktop management challenges like remote work, Windows 10 management, GPO sprawl, ransomware, group policy management and more. PolicyPak lowers IT costs, increases security, improves compliance, reduces GPOs and puts the IT admin back in charge. PolicyPak has hundreds of customers, over 1 million deployed seats, is an Inc. 5000 recognised company and a G2 crowd high performer. For more information, visit www.policypak.com and follow them on their Twitter page @PolicyPak. Here we are, Simon, backing the Azure AD, tenancy that I've got. And we want to jump straight into storage account because we are going to be creating our Azure file share for the sort of FSLogix piece. So this is remember for the Am IT Geek SA01 storage account that we created. And if you remember there, it's a file storage, so it's a performance
Premium
tier.
storage. Yeah.
Premium storage, exactly. Yeah. So again, we've not touched this since we created it. There you see what you said there, premium storage, well remembered. And what we need to do now is we need to create an SMB file share, because that's where our user profiles are gonna sit. If you remember, we in one of the previous episodes we spoke about roaming profiles and how traditionally RDS used to use those roaming profiles, and they caused so many problems.
Good times.
Yeah. FSLogix does integrate with a lot of the sort of VDI, services, but VDI vendors. So it's not just a Microsoft tool, but Microsoft have really kind of taken it and really used it well, because traditionally there's always been problems with roaming profiles. So we want to go down to file share, and we simply want to create a file share. Now, traditionally, you do have two options here. So, first, let's give it a name. So, we'll give it, again, me being the anal sort of person I am. I don't have OCD, believe it or not, but I do like to stick to naming conventions.
Yeah.
So, I am IT Geek, FS01. So, that'll be file share 01. I mean, again, name it what you want. It's not, so everyone has their own sort of thing. I just like to keep this sort of thing going. Capacity. That's dealer's choice. I just stick with a terabyte for my demos. But again, depending on your use case, as part of your planning, this all should already be agreed and should already be. You should know how big your user profiles are going to be. So you should already have an idea of that, and you should already know how big you're going to provision that. I remember, as is with Microsoft and most public cloud vendors, you pay for what you use. Okay. Yeah. So if you're going to just be wary of that, and make sure you understand how much you're going to be setting that to. Again, some depending on, so we could change this to, I don't know, 8 or 90, for example. And you see here, these items changed. So the higher you go, or the bigger size you go, these elements are going to change. The IOPS, the egress ingress rate, they will change. So just be wary of that.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it to a terabyte. And this is what I mentioned. You've got two protocols you can either set with the file shares. You can either go SMB or NFS. Now, NFS is your sort of traditional NAS storage.
Yeah.
Again, I've done some videos around Veeam backup and replication, and it uses NFS storage. But for the purpose of Azure Files, we need an SMB file share because we need to set permissions to it. So I'm just going to click on Create here, and that is created essentially. So that's the file share done. Now, you might notice at the top here, it says Active Directory not configured. So that's the next element that we need to do. We need to domain join this file share, because, like I said, our domain accounts are going to be essentially using this to store their profiles. So if we so there's two ways we can do. So we can either go down to configuration, or we can just click on not configured and click on it here, and it'll take us to the same window. And this, again, it's a configuration, as I mentioned, so you can either go to it on the left here or just click on that as Active Directory piece. So we're obviously using Azure AD Domain Services. For those people that have on-premises Active Directory, there is a method to domain join it to Active Directory on-premises. Again, if anyone wants me to do a quick video on that, by all means, just drop a comment in the comment section of this video, and I'll be happy to cover that once we're done with the series. It's like there's some PowerShell commands, and obviously you need to have that connection to your domain controller as well on premises. You need to have like a site-to-site VPN so it can actually connect to it. But as I said, if anyone wants me to do that, please let me know, and I'll be happy to cover that. Essentially, it's as simple as just clicking on enabled and saving that, and then that updates the storage account.
Yeah.
Successfully update the storage account. So that is now technically domain joined to Azure AD Domain Services. Okay. So that's basically our Azure file share configured, and the Azure AD Domain Services joined done as well for the storage account.
Great stuff.
So again, fairly simple, if I'm honest with you, mate, compared to what we've looked at so far. This is one of the simpler tasks, but again, a very important task. So what we'll do is, mate, we'll go back into the presentation just to cover off what we're going to cover next. All right?
Yeah, go for it.
So Simon, just wanted to quickly go through what we've just covered there. So we've configured the Azure File SMB share. What I want to do now is configure the permissions. Okay, so I'm going to show you the groups first, and then we'll go through the process of configuring those on the storage account. Okay?
Sure. Okay.
Cool. So it's going to jump straight back into the portal and take a look at the groups. So Simon, here we are in Azure Active Directory. So there are two groups that you need to be aware of when you're sorting the permissions out in the storage account. So the first one is the FSLogix share contributor. So I'll click on this quickly. So these are two groups that you can create yourself. for your FSLogix if you want. You call it whatever you want, really. I just tend to stick. This is kind of, if you look at any documentation on this, they always go FSLogix share contributor.
Yeah.
And this group is going to be assigned a specific permission within the storage account. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is to allow users to be able to write to the file share that we've created.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they still need some sort of permission, don't they? So this is a group. At the moment, I've not got anyone in members, so I need to add my members that are going to be having access to AVD on here. So any users that access AVD, they need to go in here, okay? So where's my test account? Let's try and find him. Bruce. So probably didn't mention Simon. We've got another special guest. Bruce Wayne is our guest user.
I like it.
Got to have Batman. So I've added Bruce Wayne, who is going to be our AVD user, our test user when we come to testing all the login aspects. He is now part of that share contributor group.
Yeah.
Essentially going to be our users kind of sort of group level group for AVD. Go back into groups again. The second one is FSLogix share elevated contributor. So you notice a slight difference in the naming convention there. Elevated. This is your admin group. So any user that needs to, doesn't have to be a global admin, but any user that has to be able to administer FSLogix or the file share needs to have this access. That needs to be in this group because this is a group we're going to be using for the permissions on that.
Yeah.
So then click on members. With my account being the admin account that we're using, I'm gonna put myself in that group. Okay.
Sure.
So that's the sort of Azure AD groups done and the permission set within the groups. We've got the members in there. Now we actually need to go to our storage account and put in that role-based access control. So if we go to the main page there, go to Am IT Geek SAO1. We want to go down to IAM access control. Okay, so this is where we're going to be setting those permissions. So if we just go to role assignment, we want to click on add up here.
Yeah.
And add role assignment. So what we're going to do is the first one, we're going to do the user element of it, okay? So that user level permission. So the group that we're looking for this is the role, sorry, that we want to do.
Yeah.
Is shared. No, it's not shared, it's storage. Storage file data SMB share contributor. And you notice that the last element of that name, of that role, is the same name as it's that the share contributor only, not the elevated one. We're going to do the elevated one in a minute when we do the admin permissions.
Sure.
So for the role, we want to do storage file data SMB share contributor. Select that. Now, assign access to user group or service principal. We've got plenty of other options there. We do, in fact, want to do it to a group. If you're really lazy, I suppose, apologies to anyone who does this, you could just set it to loads of user accounts, but that's going to be a management nightmare. This is why that we've got two groups, so we can just add members to the groups, and the groups can have access to it. So it's just less admin overhead, mate. That's why we're doing this. This is sort of,
no, definitely,
yeah, best practice. This is why I like to kind of stick to this. So,
exactly.
FSLogix share contributor, yeah? That is the account that we need to add to it. And click on save. So that role assignment is now there for our users, so our users can actually write their profiles to that that file share, to that Azure file share. We're going to go to add another role, because now we're going to add role assignment to our elevated account, if you remember. So let's type in here, storage, and we'll see all that. Elevated contributor, remember that name, the slight difference? And then we want to select our elevated group that we created, which my admin accounts are in. Save that as well. There you go, that's saved now. So those are the file permissions sorted now. So what we've got is we've got our Azure file share, we've got our permission sorted. So now we are essentially our user profiles are ready. There are some little bits of configuration that we want to do on the image. So these are just some registry settings. I'm not going to talk too much about. Again, traditionally, there is a lot of steps you need to do that you had to do for FSLogix. It's come a long way as AVD. So, for example, you had to install the FSLogix application on your image. With Azure now, when you provision a VM in Azure, because of the way we're going to provision our golden image, we're going to use Azure imaging, so we're going to use a VM from Azure, and I'll explain that why next episode. But that application comes pre-installed now, the latest version of multi-session Windows 10.
Cool.
Yeah, so we don't have to go through all that. What I will do is, though, we'll go through a little few of the registry entries that we just want to put in there.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to flip back to the PowerPoint slide deck, mate, just to recap what we've done, because that is essentially what I want to cover in this episode. It's short and sweet. We're not, I don't want to go into loads more detail of things. There's no need to, So we've got plenty to cover in this series. So I'll flip back to the PowerPoint slide deck and we'll finish off.
Great.
Simon, here we are back in the PowerPoint slide deck. Just wanted to cover what we've done. It's been a short episode, so you probably remember anyway. But just for those, just for those viewers with short memory, essentially in this episode we've configured a Azure file share, so the SMB share for that matter. And what we've done is then we've domain joined the storage account as well to our Azure AD domain services tenant. And then what we've done is we've configured the permissions. So we had two groups that we were in our Azure AD. We had the share contributor and we had the elevated share contributor. The share contributor was for our users. So any users that we were going to be using AVD in the future, they need to be part of that group. And then we've got our elevated permissions group, which is going to be our domain admin or our administrators that are going to administer that Azure file share storage that we created. What we did then is once we added our relevant users in there, we then went into the storage account. We configured the IAM, the sort of identity access management. Yeah. And there were two roles that we had to add there. We had the storage as an elevated contributor, and we had the shared contributor. The shared contributor, we added the users group that we created, and the elevated role we added our admin group to, if you remember. So that's essentially what I wanted to cover, mate. It's again no need to do loads. We've got a lot of other aspects we're going to be covering. It's a short episode 5, if I'm honest with you. We are going to cover. We're getting closer to doing some AVD stuff. I promise. The session host and the host will be coming up. Just to recap, we're going to go through in episode 6 is configuring the image that we're going to provision that is going to be provisioned our session host. So
that's cool.
We'll go through. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go through provisioning the full VM. I'll go through the steps, but we're not going to let it provision because we've got a pre-provisioned one which I've got ready, fully patched, and Blue Peter style for anybody who knows that reference. So yeah, we'll go through. I think it's important that we do go through because there's a few things that you need to know. And again, these are the things that have caught me out. So it's not. I'm not just. These are aspects, unfortunately, that caught me out the first few times, or the first time definitely. So yeah, again, to anybody watching, look, before we cover that, actually, Simon, do you have any questions, mate? That's more important, really. Do you have any questions, or are you okay with what we're doing?
For this episode, for the file access stuff, it's all been pretty straightforward. Like you said, doing it with group-based management is a lot easier. It's the same when you've done stuff on premise, and I've when we've inherited stuff from other companies, and it's been like that, and they've had folder permissions with just all the users in it. It's just annoying, man. So I'm definitely liking the group.
What's funny is what you just said there. It's probably a lot of skills you already. You already know a lot of this already. It's just how does it? How is it? How do I apply it to AVD? How do I apply it to cloud? And that's what kind of you'll be. Oh right, okay. That's the same in on premises. Again, it probably will be that the same skills you've got on premises, the same stuff you do with Active Directory, domain controllers, you apply here. Use groups instead of single permissions, and the SMB share, the file share. It's all the same sort of technology. We're just configuring it, slightly different in a portal. So excellent, mate. Good. I'm glad you're getting on. You're understanding it. It's not rocket science, to be honest with you. But no, I'm really enjoying going through all this with you. We are.
Yeah, I am.
Oh wow, we're halfway through the series. This is episode 5. We've got 10 planned, don't we? Perfect. To everybody watching, thank you again for continuing to support myself and Simon.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, we're really enjoying it again. The support from the wider cloud community has been amazing. So thank you very much to everybody for being part of our journey. So until next time, thank you, and from me anyway, goodbye.
See you later.